Alright, I'm starting my first commute. I reset my trip odometer, and I am currently at 92% battery, so we'll see how it goes at the end of the day. Alrighty, you just pulled in the garage and the commute is done. It is down to 60% charge, and here are the stats. 71.8 miles, 19 kilowatt hours used, and so now I'm going to put it on the charge and see how long it takes at level 1. And let's see here. It says it's going to take 15 hours. This is the Tesla UMC, or Universal Mobile Connector. What this is some people just call it a charger, because this is what you plug in to actually charge your car. And the tip that it comes with, the adapter, is actually just a standard 110 adapter. They call this level 1 charging because it's 110 volts. And it's slow. It only charges 3 miles per hour of range. What I'm going to do today in this video is I'm going to swap out that connector with this one. This is a 1450 connector that just plugs right in there, replaces that plug. And this is a level 2 charger. This is 240 volts, and it will charge the car at 30 miles per hour, 10 times as much. So let's get to it. One thing I love about having my Tesla in the garage, it's in backwards. I can back it in, no emissions, no worries. And it's so easy to just keep it charged all the time. Welcome to HandyDadTV. I'm Chris Hyder, your virtual dad in the cloud, and today I'm going to finally install the NEMA 1450 outlet that I reviewed well over a year ago, probably more like a year and a half. I'll put a link to that video up there, and you can check that out. I evaluated various different kinds of 1450 outlets that are available on Amazon. This is the one I chose. This is the Hubbell, which is the best, quite honestly, and the most expensive. And I'm just going to be following the technical guidance given by Tesla on how to install a NEMA 1450 outlet. Now let me just go through a couple of the things that this project requires. So the first thing you're going to need is this NEMA 1450 plug that goes into the UMC. Sometimes these are out of stock, so you really got to just check the website, and you can only get it directly from Tesla. I don't even know if they make third parties, but even if they do, you don't want to get a third party adapter here. But once you get that, then you can move forward with this. Now, the other reason why I chose the 1450, there are two popular ones. There's the 1450 and there's a 650. They're both 50 amp outlets. The difference is this one is more popular with RVs, so you can get things like extension cords and things like that if you ever need them. So I think this is a better option than the 650. But that's a matter of personal preference. All right, so once you have that, obviously you need the outlet as well. We need an outlet box. We need a cover plate. We're also going to need a 50 amp double breaker. And this is obviously going to have to be matched to whatever your breaker box is in the house. And then you're going to need 6 gauge wire. This is 6 AWG, and that's exactly what it specifies on here. And that needs 6 AWG copper wire for circuits up to 150 feet. So that means this wire is going to go from here to the outlet, and it can be up to 150 feet away. Now, I'm fortunate in that mine is right, my circuit panel is right in the garage. So this is my side of the garage where I park my car. And my circuit panel is right here. And this is actually the outlet that I've been using for my UMC, just at level 1 charging. And it's been fine for a year and a half that I've owned the car. The big difference is that I'm going to start commuting back to work. And so I decided now's a good time for me to put the level 2 charging in place. Now I also happen to have my main breaker here, I don't know if you could see it, it has a 200 on it. So this is 200 amp service. Yours is going to vary, obviously. This is, I have plenty of space in my panel here for the circuits. I have no problem putting in another breaker here for my level 2 charging. Now the other thing is, I'm probably going to put it right down here. One thing that you can know is that there's a stud on either side of your breaker box. They actually make them so they fit in between 16-inch centers, which is standard here in the US. So I'm just going to put the outlet right down here. It'll make it as easy as possible and as short a run as necessary. I won't have to drill through any studs or anything like that. Like I said, your situation may vary. Now at this point, I'm going to give you a disclaimer. I am not a licensed electrician. I am just a handy homeowner. I've been working with electricity safely for 35 years that I've owned homes. So I'm comfortable doing this, but if you're not, I really recommend you call an electrician. This is nothing to toy with. Electricity can kill you. The next step is to turn off all the power in the house. And I could just throw the breaker, the main breaker, but the best way to do it is to actually turn off your individual circuits first, then throw the main breaker, and then do the reverse. When we're done, I'm going to start the power back up the same way in reverse. Okay, all power is off in the house at this point. Now the reason why I turn all the power off in the house is because these bare metal plates right here, those would be hot if that main breaker was on. So I don't want that. I don't want to deal with that. I'm going to be fishing a wire in here. I just want to play it safe. Okay? So that's why I turn it off. Most electricians will not do that, but I do. And I recommend you do too. Now before I start cutting, I know I have 2 wires going out the bottom here. But they are back pretty far. I am not going to go in very deep. I'm just going to use my keyhole saw to go over to this stud. I did stick the saw in here and I can tell that the wood is right here. So just like I suspected. Okay, I'm sure that's the edge of the stud there. Now I'm just going to get my box. Okay, as I suspected, I do have some wires here, and that's fine. This should be deep enough for the box. Yeah, fine. No worries at all. Now, one thing about this Hubbell outlet is that the wires come in from the bottom. I should also say that the ground has to be installed up for a Tesla, and the outlet is clearly labeled for X, Y, and white. So the white wire is going to go in the middle, and the black and the red are going to go on either side, and it doesn't matter which is which because they are both different phases. This requires an Allen wrench that does not come with the outlet, and when you tighten that Allen wrench, you can see it clamps that wire in place. And this is only good for copper wire. You cannot use this with aluminum. You can get a better look at, this is the ground, the white, the red and the black are the 2 hots. Now since the white goes in the middle, I cut that one first, and now I'm just making lines to show exactly where I need to cut the other 2. And I'm using the biggest wire cutters that I have to cut wire this thick, and it's tough. Okay. Now you can start to see where that's going to go. And now there's a strip gauge on here that shows exactly how much insulation to remove on each one. Okay. Now you can see how that's going to fit right in there. And there's enough room for the ground to go around the top. And the other thing I need to do is I need to find a punch out here that will fit this 3/4 inch, I don't know what I want to call it, Romex connector. And I've got one here. So the outlet's going to be there. The wire is going to go down and come up. So I want to be on this side of the box if possible. And these are too small, so I'm going to go with this one. This one is the bigger one. And that's the connector there. I may put it in this way, and that way I can tighten the screws from the side. Alright, there we go. That's in. I can turn it. It's open all the way. Good. That's where my wire is going to come up. Well, it's nice that they included these two screw holes on the sides, but they would go into the sheetrock, so what I had to do was drill 2 holes on the side that I can put in some drywall screws. And I made them elongated so they're a little bit angled so that I'll make sure that I hit the studs. Now this, if I put it this way, it probably would interfere with the outlet, and I wouldn't be able to get at the screws anyway. So I'm going to put it in like this. And I am not going to tighten this completely. And I know some of you may say, oh, that's a code violation, but I need to be able to tighten the screws before I push the outlet into place, and that's going to push the wire down. And if I ever do want to replace the outlet, or anybody wants to replace the outlet someday, they need to be able to get it out. So if I tighten those screws before I put it in the wall, even if that were physically possible, it would make it impossible to replace the outlet. I can't swing that in. I made the hole the right size, but I can't swing that in. I'm going to have to go in completely. Okay. That's good. Okay, so it is all installed and tightened. You can see I have the wires stripped exactly the amount that needs to be stripped. There's no metal showing. And I put the ground in here. This one says green. That's for ground. And this one down here says white. And then the other two are the X and the Y. And like I said, they don't matter which one you put where. So that's ready to be installed. While I was editing this, I realized that I had made a mistake that you guys would flame me for. I'm used to dealing with plastic boxes that don't need to be grounded, but in this case, because it's a metal box, I did attach a ground wire with a screw, and I pigtailed all these wires together with a wire nut. So now the box is grounded and the outlet is grounded and everything is cool. Doesn't fit. Oh, that's funny. All right, that's not moving. It's good. All right, there are three things we need to worry about here. The first is the breaker is going to go in here, and the black and the red are going to get connected there. Next is the white. The white is going to be connected to this bar here, either side, this side or that side. They're both connected the same way. So I'm just going to connect it underneath and bring it into one of these. And then the ground, which is the bare copper one, is going to get connected to this ground bus bar down the bottom. All right, here you can see the job is all done minus the correct outlet plate. I didn't mention it here, but that ground wire snakes under the big wires and connects into that little bus bar on the bottom. You can see the wires all come up in here, snake around. The white one goes to the bus bar here, and then the black and the red go into the breaker. I tightened these down as tight as I could with my screwdriver. I don't have a torque screwdriver, so I did the best that I could. I always go until it squeaks, and when it squeaks and it's tight, I know it's going to be good. Now I'm going to turn on the main and then all the other breakers one at a time. And there we go. The house power is back on. But I am going to test the new breaker. And that's on too. Okay, now let's test it. All right, to test, I've got my meter set on 250 volts AC. I'm going to put it across these two, and the meter goes all the way up to 240, which is good. And then across these two, that's the white one down the bottom there, and that should be 110 volts. And crossed with the ground is 110 volts. And crossed on the other side should be 110 volts as well. But here, no voltage at all between these two. So it's ground, white, and that's the black and the red, respectively. I'm not sure which one is which, but that works great. All right, now the the real test is to plug in the UMC. Now I have the breaker off just to make sure I get it in nice and tight. I'm going to turn that on, and the UMC is lit. Let's see. Now, although it's a 50 amp breaker, it will only go to a maximum of 32 amps. But it's saying that it's got 247 volts, which is good. And I'm getting a full 32 amps now. Awesome. So this should charge at 30 miles per hour. I really like the placement of this outlet. It is centrally located in the garage, so I can reach the car out in the driveway if I need to use the garage for any reason, or I can just bring it around behind the back of the car and it will fit just like it did before. I do promise I will go out right now to Home Depot or an electrical supply and make sure I get an outlet plate for that. I'm not going to leave it like that. Trust me.
1 hour later.
It's pretty bad when you go to an electrical supply and they don't have the outlet plate that you need. So I'm forced to order it online. That's the way things are these days.
1 eternity later.
Alright, so this is the original plate that I'd gotten. It does not fit because this is for a standard NEMA 1450. But I have an industrial 1450. I needed a bigger one. That fits. And you can see the difference here. If I put one behind the other, you could see. I mean, that's one of the advantages of the Hubbell, is it's actually beefier than the standard one. So, just the lesson learned is just to make sure you read the listing. And the finishing touch was I just put in a little holster here that holds the UMC at the right height, so that it doesn't put any strain on this. The adapter here, it doesn't want to pull out.
Day 2.
Alright, now that I've upgraded to the level 2 charging, let's see how long it takes now. Instead of 15 hours, it only takes 3 hours and 10 minutes. Not bad. If you are a DIY video creator struggling to find an audience, join HandyDadTV and get instant access to an established audience that will provide more views and income than you're getting on your own. Just go to HandyDad.tv/join for more information.